Now, the most interesting part about this to me, and the most incredible, is the suspicious stuff that this man, Umar Farouk AbdulMutallab, a 23-year-old Nigerian man, was involved in that didn't get him onto the no-fly list. Number one, he bought this close to $2,400 ticket, which went from Nigeria to Amsterdam to Detroit, as what originally was reported as a round-trip ticket with cash on December 16th. Tickets bought with cash, not particularly unusual, but still should be one of many factors that's considered. Number two, then it was reported that it was a one-way ticket, again, purchased with $2,400 cash. To me, that raises a little bit more of a red flag if it was indeed a one-way ticket. Then it was reported that with this cash-paid one-way ticket, he had no luggage. He checked no luggage going from Nigeria to Amsterdam to Detroit. To me, that becomes significantly more suspicious.
Definitely.
And then it was reported that he actually, on top of all this, got on the plane without a passport.
Now, how does that happen?
The explanation, and this is, of course, according to another Flight 253 passenger, is that a so-called sharp-dressed man helped AbdulMutallab onto the plane without a passport. This is according to Kurt Haskell, who is an attorney traveling with his wife, who is also an attorney from a safari in Africa. He indicated that there was a man with AbdulMutallab who walked over to the boarding attendant with him. AbdulMutallab was very poorly dressed. His friend was in an expensive business suit. And he said that the suited man asked the ticket agent, could AbdulMutallab get on without a passport? And he said, the guy's from Sudan, and we do this all the time. Of course, the implication is that he may be a Sudanese refugee. Let's give the guy a break. Now, he wasn't from Sudan. He's a Nigerian man. A Nigerian, very young man, I should say. And the ticket agent said, you have to go talk to someone down the hall. That's the last that Haskell saw of AbdulMutallab until the incident 20 minutes before the landing of the plane, where he attempted to detonate this explosive. So we have all of these things together. A cash one-way ticket with no luggage. The man gets on the plane with no passport under the guise of being from a different country than the one he's actually from. That's nothing, Lewis, compared to the number one fact about why this man should have been watched more closely than he was. AbdulMutallab's own father believed in the last 6 weeks or so that his son was turning towards radicalism and maybe towards terrorism, and reported him to the authorities. And it has been confirmed that the CIA did indeed receive a report about this man. Now, he was on the watch list, the terror watch list, but he did not have his visa revoked, and he was not on the no-fly list. Now, my question, Lewis, what is so wrong with the system where a man is reported to the CIA as a possible radical by his own father? He buys a one-way ticket with cash to go halfway across the world with no luggage and gets on without a passport, saying he's from a different country than he actually is from. He's not on the no-fly list. Ted Kennedy, the late Ted Kennedy, was accidentally put on that no-fly list temporarily because his name, he shared a name with someone else. Ted Kennedy ends up accidentally on the no-fly list, and this man does not. That, to me, signifies a big problem, does it not?
I think so. Well, this flight started out of Nigeria. How much do we know about security at Nigerian airports? Not much. But I know that at many airports in Europe, they will recheck passports. Even when there's a plane arriving from another country, you're transferring planes, they'll still check you again.
On your way off the plane.
Right. You'll go through security, you'll get your passport checked again. So it really blows my mind that he got as far as he did and then was about to land in the U.S.
At the same time, though, you said that I think on one of your connections through either Iceland or Sweden, there was essentially no security.
When I arrived in Sweden, they did not check passports at all. There was no customs.
You were able to bring in whatever, presumably coming from Iceland. What could you really bring from Iceland? But
right. I guess, if perhaps it's just because the plane came from Iceland that did not happen.
Well, Barack Obama addressed this as a systemic problem. I mean, I'll say there's certainly a systemic problem here when Ted Kennedy turns up more eyebrows than this man after being reported to the CIA. What we don't want, Lewis, is yet another reason to fill the highways with cars. And between asking passengers to stay in their seats during the last hour of flights, which we heard was taking place, and not to have any personal items at all on their laps, this is going to be this could turn into something that ends up affecting travel. Could it not?
Oh, easily, right. And now we're hearing all sorts of things about, there's going to be special machines,
That will
God knows
scan
how
your
much that
entire
will cost.
body.
Or dogs even, which seems a little bit more reasonable, but that's a lot of dogs.
Well, the explosive that was brought on is called PETN. He reportedly had about 80 grams. This is AbdulMutallab. It's a crystalline powder that's often used as the active ingredient in plastic explosive. This is the same thing that Al-Qaeda member Richard Reed, also known as the shoe bomber, tried to use to detonate when he attempted that attack. Very last thing on this, on December 27th, another incident occurred on this same flight when the crew requested emergency assistance because there was, again, a Nigerian passenger who had become verbally disruptive. It turns out the man was in the bathroom for an hour. It was considered suspicious in light of what happened 2 days prior. It turns out he just had food poisoning. He fell ill during the flight. And Lewis, you can tell us better than anybody else. You've been sick on flights before. It's not pleasant, is it?
Right. Never from food poisoning, though.
Right. You're more of a motion sickness type of guy.
Right.
Okay.
Thanks for bringing that up, Dave.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with Mary Cerez from Northampton Media. There's a lot to talk about, including quite a bit of news coming here from our own broadcast area of Northampton, Massachusetts. We'll be back right after this.